Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Every once in a while, we have to bring out the big dog.
Yeah.
Oh, God help us. It's time for Danny Unleashed. Sponsored by Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. Go to eastonroofing.com for more.
Yes, indeed. Time to talk to the silver-tongued devil, Danny Clinkscale. We unleash him, brought to you by our friends, as you just heard, at Easton Roofing. Joe Spiker and his incredible team over at Easton Roofing. They get you covered from beginning to end, from the first call when you call, and Taylor or Kaylee get the process going at Easton Roofing. You will find out why they're one of the fastest-growing companies in Kansas City. You have so many incredible Google reviews. Check those out for yourself. They're an Angie's List Super Service Award winner. Also voted Best of Houses 4 straight years, with a project manager on-site at every job, both residential and commercial jobs, repairs or new roofs. Easton Roofing is there for you the way they've been there for me, been there for Danny. Check out why they are one of the fastest-growing companies in Kansas City. The entire metro, including Lawrence and Topeka, that is Easton Roofing. Call today to make an appointment, 913-257-5426. That's 913-257-5426. See them online at eastonroofing.com. Danny, my friend, how are you?
Nice day to wrap up the week. We've had summer-like weather. Actually played golf this week once, which is a rare occurrence for me these days. When you're a thriving businessman, it takes a lot of time. So it's nice to get out there on the links, even when you're not very good anymore. But beautiful day. It was like 92 that day. So and look at this day today. So hard not to have a smile on your face no matter what's going on or the vagaries of the days. And in here a couple times today, doing some stuff for college football game day tomorrow, where we'll have Bob Bowlesby on, the commissioner of the Big 12. And that should be fun.
Has that conversation already been hatched?
That conversation indeed has been hatched, yes, I will.
Okay.
Full disclosure here. Tomorrow, Bob will be nice and act like it's Saturday, but yes, so I kind of know that it's a really great and interesting conversation, and it really dives deep into some of the stuff that's going on right now. Bob gives lengthy but not answers that are long because there's a lot of content there, and he gets into things in a very deep way, so look forward to that. It's a great conversation.
Yeah, I think the Big 12's finally got themselves in good hands, right? I think, he's been a fantastic commissioner. I enjoy talking to him, and to me, he actually has been one of the most influential people that I've spoken to, and gave me a lot of perspective when, he was honest. And I don't know why more people in, frankly, life can't be more like that. He was the first guy, and when he said it, I think we got him about the second time. I heard him say it somewhere once, and then he was a guest on everything, ESPN, Fox, boom, 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 boom. And it's because he was the only guy that was out there going, you know what, we're going to have to learn to live with the virus. There was no, magical, it's going to float away thing. And he said we're going to have to live with scheduling. He talked about we're going to have to be flexible with our schedules. He came out with the real news on how sports in a COVID world are going to work, and it made me – I was like, oh, my God. You mean you might have to schedule on the fly? We're watching it happen with the NFL. He told us this back in July.
That's right.
Maybe it was even June.
Yeah, that's right.
When that stuff was going on.
That's kind of where we opened the conversation. And yes, I gave him. I asked the question, and I'm not going to give away the whole thing, but I mean, I gave him tremendous credit because at that point in time, people were either, oh, everything's going to be fine, or we can't play. I mean, it was one or the other, and he just said, yeah, we can try. But it's going to be a rocky road, and we're seeing it.
Yeah,
but they're mostly playing.
But that gave me strength. I'm not saying I was going to curl up in the fetal position and ooh, but I mean I was like, okay, there's a shot. I see it, and it prepared me for what's happening, so that I'm not sitting here going, the first positive test that came down in baseball, we didn't go, oh, throw in the towel. We're all screwed. It let me know that here's a guy in a league and people that are giving it thought. They are working through the issues and the problems. And I think now that some of the things he said they would have to battle, they are battling. It speaks to the fact that he knew where to lead his league.
No question about that. And I think he does a great job of pretending that he's not really that influential, that he's just carrying on the work of others. But I think he clearly has done tremendous work. Tremendous work.
When's the conversation?
Should be about 9:30, I think.
About 9:30.
But you want to hear the whole. You want to hear the whole brilliant 2 hours of college football game day now in its 21st year.
It's part of my Saturdays. Yeah, when I'm running around doing things, I have it on. So I just wanted to know for other folks who aren't, maybe committed.
Destination
to the
listening. They want Bob Bowlesby, but it's really a great conversation. So tune in. Not that many people don't anyway. A lot of it. That's why the show's been so. One of the reasons the show's been so successful through the years is that a lot of people are doing a lot of things on Saturday morning, and it provides some great entertainment for them.
What do you think? Did I'm assuming that at some point the subject of Les Miles may have come up.
Yes,
maybe not.
Yes, indeed, it did. You want my thoughts on Les Miles? Well, first of all, it's where everybody should start off. You just hope that a 66-year-old man is, gets the best of care and does just fine. And really, from that point forward, that's really the only thing to think about is looking for the best. Then seeing that it's not going to become an issue for the entire program because of contact with Les Miles, and coaches don't get to really have close contact with their players that much, so that shouldn't be the case. And I guess that's where my thoughts lie right now from a football standpoint. I think, and he was stressed that it was not a joke, but Nate Bukaty said something pretty telling on, how would we ever tell against West Virginia if, say, he can't coach? They say he maybe can coach, but say he can't. How are we ever going to tell if that they were worse? I mean, they played one of the worst football games you can ever play against Oklahoma State.
Wait a minute. When you say that he can coach, you don't mean that he can coach this game. You mean just whether he can coach at all.
Yeah, whether he can coach from he coached this game for the sidelines. Be an active participant in coaching the team. How would you ever be able to really tell that they were affected by the fact that they didn't have day-to-day contact with him, or he wasn't on the sidelines? Because if he's not there,
how much worse can it get?
How much worse can it get?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a bottom-out performance again. Oklahoma State could have scored 80.
Which, by the way, if that were true and I were Gundy, I would have scored 80.
Well, Les Miles.
I would always put it on my opponent, but
Les Miles was his boss at one point in time, so I think that might have had something to do with it.
It might have. To me, you've got backups that need time to play and run the offense, get them ready to go, make yourself better. But anyway, that's just my own philosophy. The whining about when you get drummed just drives me absolutely
get
crazy.
Better.
Yeah.
And if you're a lesser level program, you're getting your paycheck, so you know what you're in for.
Yeah. And by the way, I have not heard anybody from Kansas saying that. I'm just saying in theory, just it drives me crazy on that front. Listen, it's not looking good. Year two is not adding. What's occurring in year two is making year three make or break.
I think they maybe. The only caveat to anything we're seeing this year is the fact that it's such a crazy year. And now this is going to be mitigated by the fact that he may miss some time. So any coach who's really in a struggling position is probably going to catch at least a little bit of a break, or given a little bit more of leeway. But when you just go out and in the third game of your second year, when you're supposed to have some imprint on the program, you just get beat as badly as you possibly can by a team that, while expected to be a good team, hasn't really played good football this year. It's not in your stadium, and the whole thing was a bad look. They weren't good. They got killed, and what would you say? About a third of the limited seats were filled.
I didn't even look closely at the seats to worry about what it is. I did have a friend who just made a 3-year commitment to football, and he asked me, he goes, "Did I make a mistake?" Like, did I blow it? I said, I don't think you can ever make a mistake.
Right, supporting your program, yes.
So no, you didn't make a mistake. But but the point is that he's like, well, I'm not. He's already losing confidence, and that's the thing. Is like one of two things. Here's what has to happen, I think, in this coming recruiting cycle. One of two things had to occur this year. Either he had to go out and win football games and be much more competitive. That has not happened. Okay, to this point, there's still time for them to turn the corner and have that happen. But to this point, that is not happening. A loss to Coastal Carolina, drummed by Oklahoma State, that had not, as you pointed out, had not played really well before this. That's not happening. The other thing that he could do that would give you, reason to really be like full speed ahead on the Les Miles train is just to be killing it in recruiting. Not to be, yeah, he's last in the Big 12, but, I mean, they used to be 105, and now they're 82. Like, no. Like, he needs to get up to, like, 32, to, like, 28, 41. I almost think there has to be a number in your head, like, we got to move up here. And so if you set it at 35 and he's 37, okay, he's in the ballpark. But, like, I don't think he can just, be like, well, we've got real guys coming in. Yeah, but it's still, he's not X and O'ing it. And if he's not getting talent, that's going to be better, definitively better than Texas Tech or West Virginia or K-State. Why is 1 + 1 ever going to equal 5?
Right, and especially in a week where one of your most significant recruits decommits. So
that was why I went down that road.
Right, that person who committed and then didn't change his mind like in a week or something. He just sort of surveyed the landscape, and basically after he watched him play Oklahoma State, no doubts about that's not for me. Now, we didn't say I won't go to Kansas now, but why would you even, you don't have to decommit.
Well, that's what they all say, and then they don't go where they decommitted from.
Yeah, why would you decommit? You can change. You can always decommit later, but why would you do it now? So you open up it to many other schools and have many other options, and so he's not going to Kansas, period.
Yeah, I think the recruiting's got to pick up, right? Because or the performance on the field. I mean, either one of them would be signs of that it's moving in the right direction. And if those happen, okay. But otherwise, if you don't win it in recruiting, and you're not winning on the field, there's no way that it can't start to be make or break next year.
I would agree with that. Now, the make or break aspect is the only thing that I'm looking at potentially quizzically, because I think you'd need to show signs that they're getting better, but what would it take for him to get fired after a year that most people are going to sort of cross off? I don't know.
Not this year. I'm talking about next year.
Yeah, I know.
Comes.
I know. Now, the thing is, it may go so badly this year that 3 wins might look better next year.
Yeah, but that's my point, and that's why these exercises have to occur every year. You have to say, okay, we hired him. Now here's our expectation. We know it's a disaster year 1. Year 2 might be a struggle, but we want to see 3 wins, 4 wins, right? Minimum, right? And if he comes in at 1 or 2, okay, we're behind schedule. Year 3 is, hey, it's time to be 500 and be looking towards, or we want 500 and be bowl eligible. You're 5 and 7 with some gritty, tough losses and almost an upset over a really good team. Okay, we didn't quite get there, but we're not. The train's not that far. It's not that late to the station. Okay, but year 4 is definitely a winning record, definitely a bowl game. And if he comes in 3 and 9, you're like, it's not going. We're not making the progress, and it's why it's. The things that I say to people, and I run into it all the time, and just in life stuff, I'm like, listen, if you don't set the expectation of where you need to be, you can convince yourself, well, we had this, well, we had that, well, whether it's your savings or whatever, well, I really wanted that necklace, whatever the crap is, you can find a reason. And with football coaches, it's like, well, we had that one injury. Well, then you have no depth. Okay, well, the quarterback.
Well, we can't
really
find a quarterback.
Yeah, all those things. So you set these, this is a reasonable expectation. And I think, Kansas, I don't think can afford to say, well, we're just going to – they've got to get up off the mat And if that means paying another coach off, then pay another coach off. It's waiting another year or two to continue to cement the idea in every high school in the country that this program is inept and cannot succeed has to stop. It has to stop, and it has to stop right now.
Right, and 2 out of the last 3 coaches they picked were kind of for show in many ways. And the one
Who were the 2?
Charlie Weiss, or 2 of the last 4 or whatever. 2 of Charlie Weiss and Les Miles. And then the one in between was just not – he was not head coaching material. He didn't have a resume. There was no reason to hire him as a head coach. So potentially you made 3 real, very questionable hires. I mean, it's a risk when you're hiring a older coach with a name that hasn't been coaching.
Yeah.
And it's got to work, or got to work, or it's not hindsight to say it's a bad hire. It was questionable to begin with. Clearly, the name was carrying some weight, not necessarily where that person was at in their coaching career. And, there's nothing besides the results and the recruiting also to give you confidence. The performances on coaches' shows, and kind of some of the oddball comments, lapses in memory, none of it's good.
Yeah. By the way, I have noticed that like whenever ESPN does a story or mentions Les Miles and the positive COVID, they show him with the mask as a chin strap. Like every single video, that's what they're running.
Well, I was just looking for images for a social media post, and that's the one I've picked.
Same. When we talked about it yesterday, I looked for something that's most of the pictures you see are that.
There is one there with a nice white mask, which is nicely positioned over his mouth, but then the other one, there's definitely a chin strap effect.
Yeah.
Kind of like Mike, what's his name? It's escaping Mike Leach.
Mike Leach
seems to always chin strap it.
There's a shot of him talking to Gundy, and they're both got both got the chin strap thing going.
I think if the conversation were made public, you could see where those two opinions would be based upon past comments. I think we know where they would probably stand on it.
Yes.
We're talking to Danny Klingscale. It's Danny Unleashed, brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. You maybe have an older roof. Maybe it's been banged up. You think you're okay to get by, but you're just not quite sure. You want to rest easy. How about a free inspection? How about a free estimate if you do need any work or repair or a new roof? But if you don't, they'll be happy to say, no, you're okay. You probably got 2 years, 5 years, whatever it is. The ice is coming. The ice is what can really, really cause a lot of problems on a roof. Don't be sitting there the first time it snows going, oh, my God, is it going to make it? Call Easton Roofing today. Free inspection. Online at eastonroofing.com. In fact, you can sign up for the appointment right there online or call 913-257-5426.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker, the CEO and president of Easton Roofing. And, Joe, you had a great year in 2019, a record year. 2020 comes, things are moving smoothly along, and then the coronavirus comes. But your company seemed to be very ready, very proactive, and very ready to serve your customers well.
Yeah, we adopted social distancing very early before the cities even put out the notices. And we started working from home. We are largely cloud-based as a company, so that transition was easy. Our technicians are wearing masks and gloves, and salespeople are not meeting with homeowners. We're doing everything digitally and doing everything we can to do our part to get over this as quickly as possible.
So for any needs that people have right now, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, you can always call us, 913-257-5426. But the best way is to go to eastonroofing.com, put your information in, and we'll give you a call.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
Astros in the LCS for the 4th consecutive season. Only 2 teams have been to the LCS 5 years in a row. I asked for either one.
Well, I said Yankees and Dodgers because they've had the most success. That was shot down. So I will switch to, did like the Reds make it? I didn't realize it. They bookend their World Series, so I'll try the Reds.
Nope.
Braves
95-99 is one.
Good call.
And were there more than? Oh, yeah,
A's,
they're more
maybe?
than one division then. Yeah.
What did you say, Soren?
A's?
A's, 71-75. Wasn't just the Eagles that like those two numbers. Two other teams have gone to 4 straight. Yankees from 98 to 01, and the Cardinals from 11 to 14.
Wow. Okay. Good answer. I like it. Good Sense, what we were playing for right there. You can get your Good Sense right now. Just whip out your phone. Make sure you got the Good Sense app. A couple of clicks saves your menu. I've already put it in order for tomorrow in between soccer matches where we will be picking up our Good Sense. You can pick your time in advance or just go with the ASAP function. Remembers your old menus, or your old orders, excuse me. Makes it even faster in the process. Slicing the meats and cheeses fresh right in front of you. Baking the bread fresh twice each day. That is your neighborhood Good Sense. Go to goodsensesubs.com to make sure you're signed up for the loyalty program as well. Danny Clinkscale is with us here in the program, brought to you by Easton Roofing. Danny, what do you make of the Chris Kleiman extension?
I think it's good business.
Yeah.
I think you're seeing a coach who has a team that, despite 2 excellent performances in a row, Vegas looks at against a TCU team that I don't think anybody thinks is a world beater and says, oh, they're an 8.5-point underdog, and he just goes out and wins games. So I think I think they probably will start to have better circumstances. They've been as affected by the coronavirus as any team in the country, maybe. I mean, others have had maybe equal problems, but they've certainly had big problems with it, missing multiple players game after game. Lost a very disastrous type game in the opener and came back last week with a backup quarterback, another thing that should make Kansas fans cringe. The guy looked good. He came in. He was ready to play. So, they got him at a low price, lowest in the league, one of the lowest in the country, actually, among the Power 5, and which was still good business for him because he was making $300,000 at North Dakota State, and now he's making legit money. And he looks like somebody who, if he has, if his recruiting ticks up a little bit, they can be challenged for the league, and even if it's not, he can coach him up.
You know what I like about it? I like the $200,000 bonus every time he has an 8-win season. Now, I would hope there'd be a limit on that. Like at some point, maybe it kicks up because you can go 7-5 and win a trashy bowl and get to 8 wins. But I think it's $200,000 raise every time he wins 8 games. But I think that speaks to the fact that they know who they are. It's not like
win the league.
Win the league
or be in the league championship game, or
11 wins. They're like, listen, this is it. We're going to make you really, really happy. And these are attainable bonuses, right? And so that to me says we understand who we are. And we're going to reward you if you make us who we should be, who we can be. And I thought that was a smart part of the contract because while other contracts go up around him, that clause right there is going to keep that contract current.
And also, there's some pretty onerous buyouts there. There's a good reason for him to stay financially.
Yep.
Seems like a good fit for the kids are at high school age, I guess. And I mean, I think he's checked about every box you can check so far.
Yeah. I agree.
Fans like him. I don't think anybody thinks that they're just, wallowing in talent. They've suffered injuries. I think that the thought is that they'll probably start to get more talent. I can't think of a better fit, to be honest.
No, I agree. And here's my question to you. Is this just like a great fit, like he's great at K-State? Or if he was at Texas, is this an example of K-State finding a guy that would win anywhere? I mean, I do think there are some coaches that are a good marriage to some programs. Could Chris Kleiman go and win a national championship with Texas's resources or Oklahoma's or Alabama's, whatever blue blood program you want to put it? Is he good enough, or do we, just because he's soft-spoken and not a look-at-me guy, do we undersell what they've actually got? That even though we're all like, yeah, doing a great job, super, but it's still like at K-State, right? But in reality, maybe, that is the approach, and he could go make that work at Florida or wherever.
He strikes me so far as a guy who's just a winner, and that I think he could do it anywhere. Does he have designs on that? I don't know. But he was the king of the hill in a different setting. I mean, they were expected to win every game, and he took over with the expectations that you're supposed to win every game. And what'd they do? They went out and won every game. And they sprinkled in wins over Power 5 teams, too. The next thing that goes wrong, that Chris Kleiman does wrong as a coach, will be among the first.
What is the stat that he excels at that we can draw and say this is why he wins? Because what I'm so impressed by is he consistently gets outstatted, yet wins. And that doesn't usually happen. Like, you can get a game here or there, but the numbers were way heavy to Oklahoma. Rushing, total yards, third down conversions, and he won. The numbers were tilted against him against Texas Tech, not as definitive, but yet he still wins and wins by double digits. What is it about him? I asked this of Blair, and I got his version yesterday. What do you think? What is it? What does he do that the numbers don't tell the story?
Well, I think I think that within these games, within each game this season, I think we get some clues. They are maybe compromised enough from a talent standpoint that they can be dominated for a stretch of the game, which will pile up the numbers that we'll see at the end. But they also can turn the game on its head and completely take control of it, which they did against Oklahoma. The stats may have ended up being in favor of Oklahoma, but the last 25 minutes of that game, they just kicked their ass.
Yeah.
So, I think he has done another remarkable thing. He basically, in his own image, has kept the same kind of mindset that we saw in Kansas State under Bill Snyder, the best of Bill Snyder.
I do think that's one thing that has benefited him, is that it is a similar approach, so that the talent that was already there,
right,
should fit well with what it is he wants to do.
Yes, the people who were already there had that Kansas State, we're going to get it done type of thing. Toughness, we'll find a way to win. It may not look pretty. I mean, in each of the last two games, the first time the other team has punted, they blocked the punt. I mean, how K-State is that? So they just find different ways to get the job done. I mean, that's just out coaching people. Both of them were just clean blocks. Like, the guy just ran free to the kicker. So that's scheming.
Yeah.
It looks like his coordinators, who are winners as well, are, and who we'll have to see. These guys have been a real nice core group. Will they have enough success that Messingham will want to go somewhere else, and then he'll have to replace them? And we'll see if when you go through coordinators,
that's the ultimate test.
Guys he's familiar with and has coached with for a long time. Whether that we'll see a falling off in that standpoint, but right now it was. I can't imagine any money person at K-State going, "What? We paid him. We didn't have to pay him more money. He's only in his second year. What are we doing?"
No, the buyouts, everything that was there. This is. Listen, I said to somebody goes, "Don't you think this is a little bit early? I mean, do we really know?" I'm like, "No, we don't. But yes, it is too early. But this is the cost of doing business in big time college football. So, like, it's early from a standpoint of, can we close the book that this guy's set? No, we can't. But just when you show signs of being good, then they'll come for you."
Well, it's just like how long do you wait to decide to marry the love of your life? Well, you know what? We've only been going out. Maybe it's not long enough. Well, and she's checking every box. I mean, everything is coming up perfect. Well, I don't know. We've only been going out 4 years now. No, we've only been going out 6 years.
In this situation,
can I just wait a minute? Real quick,
and then she leaves for another guy.
By the way, when you're asking the question after having every box checked at 4 years, you've already lost.
Right.
You whiffed.
Right.
Right. Exactly. So you don't wait. You don't wait that long. That's
Especially
why,
when you know she's going to say yes on this one. She's not seeing somebody else. You know, right?
That's why. That's why
she will be at the fourth year. I will tell you that.
That's why a year and a half isn't too soon. You say you wait to use the football part of it. Say it's the fourth year and you haven't given him an extension yet. Maybe he's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, no doubt.
Now he can't say that. He can say they stepped forward maybe sooner than I even expected.
Our defense is catching up to the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll talk about that with Danny Clinkscale next.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker, the CEO and president of Easton Roofing. What's the difference at this time of year as we head toward the warmer months for homeowners, and what should they be looking at, coronavirus or not?
If you didn't do a good job of home maintenance in the fall, cleaning your gutters out, when we get the spring rains, that can be a real problem. So you want to make sure that you've done a good job on your home maintenance, cleaning your gutters out. We can help with that. I always tell people they never get their roof inspected. They get their furnace inspected once a year, but they never get their roof inspected. And we do the inspection on your roof for free. So you call, you make an appointment, and we'll show up, do the inspection. It's free. You should have your roof looked at once a year. Take advantage of us. And most likely you're fine. And if there's a problem, hopefully we can get out in front of it and save you money in the end.
So for any needs that people have right now, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, you can always call us, 913-257-5426. But the best way is to go to eastonroofing.com, put your information in, and we'll give you a call.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
You're listening to the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Petro, Siebold, Marshall, Klink, Danny Clinkscale in. It's Danny Unleashed. You can check out Danny's work at DannyClinkscale.com. He is brought to you by Easton Roofing. Easton Roofing, Integrity Matters. You can check out their work at eastonroofing.com. No payment collected until you're 100% satisfied. Credit cards are accepted. Financing available as well. And right now, before we get into the cold weather and the ice that could really wreck your roof, if you're wondering, find out for sure. Get a free inspection, a free estimate if any repairs or a new roof is needed. At Easton Roofing, call 913-257-5426. Check them out online at eastonroofing.com. Danny, our defense is catching up to the Chiefs' offense, or is this just the reality of the ebbs and flows of a season?
I'd probably say it's going a little far to say that they're catching up, but the Chiefs played 4 games, and in 2 of them, they have been at least controlled. And there's a bit of a blueprint out there. While San Diego and New England did it differently, basically the key is somehow, some way, to get enough pressure on the quarterback without sending extra people, which is Baltimore's kryptonite when they play the Chiefs. And although I think in their game they couldn't decide what they wanted to be. They usually blitz willy-nilly, and so on that night they were kind of dipping their toe in the water. They were sending 5.
Right.
And, but both San Diego can pressure the quarterback with 4, and New England didn't really pressure the quarterback quite as much, but they played extra defensive backs most of the time. So there's some kind of thing out there, but San Diego's an extremely talented defense, even with a couple of injury losses. And New England's maybe the most well-coached and disciplined team in football, even though they were missing a bunch of players too. So can other teams do it? I think they know that that's the best way. And I think also the Chiefs are going to be capable. They should be capable of running the ball better against, light boxes. That was the key for New England, that they just said, go ahead and run, and the Chiefs couldn't.
Yeah. I was asked in Vegas, and now granted the team just got there, so it's not a great history of AFC West. There's not volumes of AFC West history to draw on. But they're like, well, is the AFC West becoming the AFC East around the Patriots? I'm like, becoming? Like, when was the last time? It's
right. What's
front page news if the Chiefs lose a game in the AFC West. They own the AFC West. It's been that for the Kansas City Chiefs.
28-2 or something.
But they've been in first place at the end of the week for every week since the end of the 2015 season.
Right.
60-some consecutive weeks. I mean, that's some domination.
Yeah, it's not like they don't even fall down early. Like
they're never looking up at anyone else for 5 years straight.
Yeah, I mean, when were you surprised? And I know the broadcast crew said they were surprised, but when they said that the Chiefs are the first team to go 4-0 in 4 straight years,
that's surprising to me. Yeah,
I was like, what?
Just shows
Really?
that how hard this league. What was it like after 2 games? There were like 4 undefeated teams. I think. I mean,
no, not this year.
I think so.
I think we got more than 4 now.
I'm trying to think of what. Oh, I know what it was. It was in baseball. Like after 5 games. No, I think it was after 2 games in baseball. That's what it was sticking in my head.
Yeah, there are 6 unbeaten
there were hardly
teams in the
any,
NFL right now.
hardly any undefeated teams.
Yeah.
So the nature of both baseball teams lose and football, it's just tough, to win a whole bunch of games, which the Chiefs are going to do this year and make a lie of that. So I think that as time goes on, there's going to be more challenges in place. I didn't think Patrick Mahomes by his standard, he didn't play particularly well in that game. The interceptions that were dropped were like not difficult ones. He should have had 2 for sure. I mean, yes, they are defensive backs, but they were just punts.
I heard somebody talk about how Mahomes didn't play well against the Chargers, and is he just I was just thinking back. I was listening to a podcast or something, and he didn't play well against the Chargers. I'm like, well, did you see the pressure the guy was under? Like, I know he makes all these incredible throws on the run and jumping and doing all this, but that's not to say that he now should make those throws. They're still freaking incredible when he does it, and there's nobody else that can do it.
Right, and even against the Patriots, he unfurled a huge play that was a big key to the game. And it was a play that few, if any, could make.
I am going to say that, I think the offense is everything, and I think all these games that are tight and come down, you're going to need to be able to score at the end. Although it is, I think, one of the reasons why Andy Reid can punt here and there, and maybe not have pedal to the metal all the time, is because he can rely on his defense to get a stop. They're now the number 2 scoring defense in the NFL. I should probably quit saying it because the Chiefs will probably have to be in a 37-all tie at the end of the game against the Raiders or something, because I've quoted that so much this week. But I will just say this: they're fine this year, and it's a fine strategy to say, we're all about winning another Super Bowl, and we'll figure out next year. That is real, and I have no problem with somebody saying, as long as you say it and don't try to BS me that, no, we're all set for the future. We're in great shape. Arr. And then when you're, all of a sudden you're 8-8 with the best quarterback in the league, and you go, well, we really put everything into the Super Bowl, and that was what was going on there. Just be transparent, be honest about what's going on, which I think the Chiefs have. But I am a little bit leery. Are they going to have enough resources to keep the offensive line top shelf? People may not want to hear this, but tackle might be one of their biggest needs. Not because these guys can't play, they can play, but I think they might be beginning. Mitchell Schwartz has been beaten more than we're used to seeing Mitchell Schwartz beaten. And he's still fine over there, but they had to chip. They really had to help him against Bosa. And, it used to be like, Von Miller, screw it, we got Schwartz. Bosa, screw it, we got Schwartz. And that game didn't go that way. And even the Texan game, I think he gave up a sack on the first drop back. And so, they're going to need that, because they're going to have to keep the protection in front of Mahomes just to protect the amount of cap that's going to be tied up in Mahomes. Because if he sits down, not only do you get to the backup quarterback, but it's just a lot of your investment sitting over there. And so I that's one thing I'm kind of looking at is can they continue to just have everybody else's cuts be their starting guard and center? And now it's guard, center, guard.
Well, the other part is, if what we're talking about and these defensive strategies are going to have some success, the antidote to that is running the football. And you can only blame, we know Hilaire's a talented back. We've already seen it this year. You can only blame the offensive line for the fact that against a light box they couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
So
it is an O-line built to pass block,
yes,
and for the run to be the changeup. And so you kind of catch them.
Still, you have to be
when you
competent, though. At least, average.
But I think it is of note that, Austin Ryder was cut by the Browns. Andrew Wiley was cut by the Browns. Osemele was not signed when camp started, right? They signed him right after camp. Or somebody went down, didn't they?
I don't remember.
No, LDT opted out. That's what it
that's
was.
Right,
LDT. So it wasn't long before camp, and he was still out there. And look, and that is all a tribute to Brett Veach and his staff for finding really good players on the cheap. And he's making it look easy to where it's like, yeah, sign all these stars because Brett Veach will just find somebody for $1 million, for $2 million. Somebody's at $2 million. Other guys, I think Ryder was at the league minimum. They signed him, last year, I think, but he's still not expensive. Wiley's down there cheap. I truly believe the plan is to start Wiley all year and then watch him go in free agency and have that contribute to your draft pick compensation for free agent losses. I think there's a number of guys that they're going to be doing that on to pick up extra picks. But I'm just like,
well, the thing is, the average players that they pick up and make look good look better because they're on the Chiefs.
Agreed.
The offensive ones look better because Patrick Mahomes can bail them out. And
totally
even though he's under duress the whole night, they still win the game. And on defense, while the Chiefs are clearly better on defense, they don't have to be necessarily. Now, maybe there'll be more games when they have to be. And then when they make some plays, it really stands out. And you say, oh, look at how Joe Blow contributed to a win. He's good. And maybe he's really not that good. But on that night, he had a pick or he had a key stop. And you're like, well, look at that free agent pickup or whatever.
Yeah. Mike Aviles getting 190 at-bats for the Yankees en route to a World Series is a folk hero. Mike Aviles, his numbers coming down for 500 at-bats on a team going nowhere is like, why do we have this guy starting? I think there's a lot of that. I mean, Mahomes is perfume for a lot of problems. They don't have many problems, but when they do, he covers up a lot of I totally agree with that. And I think the team overall, does that as well. I think the coaching staff does it as well. I mean, that's one good thing is they have a great coaching staff. And the one guy they're going to lose is Bieniemy, and the replacement's already sitting there. It's Mike Kafka.
Right, and I think they've known that they had something in Kafka for quite a while. So,
yes.
And hey, I'm never going to say there's a guarantee Bieniemy gets a job.
No, I would agree. Although I do think there's a real movement. I think the BLM movement and his name being at the top of the list for so long, the NFL is going to strongly encourage a team to do something like that. Danny, you're the man. Everybody check out his work, DannyClinkscale.com. We talk to him every Friday. He's brought to you by Easton Roofing.
Bye-bye.
This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like Easton Roofing, the presenting sponsor of Kansas City Profiles at the Danny Klinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new.